Good afternoon, everyone. The time is now 2:03 p.m. And we're here for the community meeting for the OPAT Commission. Thank you for joining us for the Commission community meeting. I am the pro tempore chair of the OPAT Commission. I want to introduce my other commissioner here, Judge, I don't know why. Judge Leslie Harris. I always say Judge. Judge Leslie Harris. And I want to also, we're joined by the Honorable Leslie Harris, Chair of the Internal Affairs Oversight Panel, and myself, I'm the Chair of the Civilian Review Board. It's great to see some members of the community joining us here today. So thank you for attending either in person and virtually. I'd like to acknowledge some other individuals here, including the interim executive director of OPAT, John Stice, and the whole OPAT team here. Thank you for all your dedication and work. So we'll go to the agenda for today. Take a look. So we're going to run through our agenda. Before we reach to the public comment period, the OPAT Commission will review past meeting minutes, receive the September 2023 OPAT Commission public report, review the police commissioner's response to a sustained case, introduce proposed commission regulations, and discuss any outstanding business. We'll then have our public comment period before moving into an executive session to approve executive session minutes and adjourning the public session. Our meeting will adjourn by 3:30 p.m. So these are all of the points that we're going to cover today. So look forward to going over these. If you need to leave this meeting before we reach the comment period, please feel free to email your comments to OPAT staff at opatboards@boston.gov. So that's opatboards@boston.gov. So if you go to the next item for the review of and approval of the past meeting minutes, our first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from the OPAT Commission's March 16th and June 15th meetings. The current drafts of these minutes are available to the public on the OPAT website, and print copies are available at the front desk. Are there any corrections to the minutes presented?
No, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Seconded, so unanimously approved by the two commissioners present. Moving along, the next order of business is the FY23 quarter four public report. The report is available in print copies at the front desk in the OPAT office. Please visit the front desk if you've not picked up a copy. The report will also be posted on the OPAT website. If you need the public report in any language other than English, please contact OPAT staff. You can move on to.
Yes.
So next order of business is on June 13th, 2023. The Civilian Review Board approved the sustained ruling in the matter of case 122. Commissioner Cox submitted a response to the CRB rejecting the sustained ruling and recommended discipline. Print copies of the response are available at the front desk and are posted online to the OPAT webpage. Please note that BPD Commissioner responses to cases will always be posted on the OPAT webpage, along with the summaries of their investigation heard during a specific meeting. If members of the public would like to comment on the commissioner's response or the case, you are welcome to speak during public comment or to email your comments to opatboards@boston.gov. If you would prefer that your comments be made anonymously, please note this in your email to OPAT. So in case 122, the response from the commissioner is both posted and anyone could grab it at the start. So if the public would like to read it, definitely you could respond to that matter and his response in the public comment period. But wanted to make sure those who are present are able to go and, have that document in hand. You can also mail comments to the OPAT office at 2201 Washington Street, Suite 102, Roxbury, Mass. 02119. Go to the next. The OPAT Commission will now receive proposed regulations from OPAT staff per the OPAT ordinance. The OPAT Commission is charged with considering and approving regulations for the Commission, the Civilian Review Board, and the Internal Affairs Oversight Panel. The Commission will now hear from OPAT Deputy Director John Stice for a brief explanation and review of the proposed recommendations.
Yes, thanks, Commissioner. So, like Commissioner Alvarez said, this is a pretty high level overview, but a helpful summary nonetheless, I think. So OPAT promulgated OPAT 1.00, which are regulations on OPAT investigations, complaints, conflicts of interest, meeting dates, and the Youth Advisory Council, or YAC. As promulgated, 1.01 requires the party with the burden of proof to demonstrate that an allegation or argument is far more likely to be true than false. As stated in 1.2, to avoid duplication of effort, the OPAT shall not run parallel investigations with Boston Police Department or peace officer standards and training or post commission into civilian complaints of police misconduct. 1.03 states that OPAT staff will consider a complaint incomplete if it is missing 2 or more pieces of necessary information. That information being specific date, time, or location of the incident alleged, specific misconduct being alleged to have been committed by a BPD employee, and other descriptive and identifying information regarding the BPD employee named in the complaint, such as first name, last name, badge number, or even employee number. OPAT staff will reach out to the complainant to retrieve this information, and the complainant will be given 7 days to respond if we've not yet been provided it. 1.04 states that shall members of the Internal Affairs Oversight Panel, or IOP, or the Civilian Review Board, CRB, be referred to the OPAT Commission for review and recommendation. 1.05 requires that the OPAT Commission shall set the meeting calendar of the CRB, IAOP, and the OPAT Commission each December for the next calendar year. And finally, 1.06 establishes a Youth Advisory Council to advise the Executive Director and the members of the IOP and the CRB to give youth a space to be heard and where they can discuss issues in their community. However, on 1.06, the City of Boston's Law Department has advised OPAT to not establish anything in regulations regarding the Youth Advisory Council, given it is not expressly outlined in the ordinance establishing our office. Given this, we recommend that the commissioners consider striking this regulation from consideration when it comes up during their review. That's it from me.
Okay.
And, I wanted you to advise the council. It'd be ex officio, it won't be a actual part of OPAT. But I believe we should hear from young people. They're the ones facing the most contact, unsolicited contact sometimes with Boston police. So we need to hear from them in order for us to properly respond to issues and to encourage them to come forward.
So to be sure, are we saying that the city's council said not to have it expressly within a reg, but it can still be there and established, it's just they do not want it to be a reg since it's not directly, stemming from.
Promulgated and.
Yeah, so just to be
the
clear,
ordinance itself.
yeah, just to be clear, we couldn't agree more, Judge. We absolutely fully intend to do that. They just asked that we not establish it in the regulations that are approved by you. So yeah, that's very much going forward. They just don't want it in the regulations.
It's one of the things I think we should push to be part of the regulation.
Okay.
In the future, that city council, whoever presents this, that they make it a part. Of the regulation.
So this compulsory
Yeah.
for the office to make sure that it's happening and, regardless of who is running the office and
Yeah.
regardless of what happens, that's just an integral part of what we're doing. I agree. But I also agree on striking it from the proposed regulation
As of now.
as of
Yeah.
now. Do we, by any chance, are we able to put up you had just mentioned the numbers just for the public to see what each of those,
1.06.
yeah, like, well, all of them, like this one by one, or
I don't think we have a digital copy that's ready to go up. We do in the notice for the upcoming meeting. Ben has a summary of all those. I was basically reading that summary from the notice. of
Okay.
the meeting, so I think that'll cover it.
Okay, so with respect to the incomplete complaints, just for the record, looking at it, want to make sure where we talk about only contains physical descriptive information. You know, we have this whole thing where if two of these four items are not provided, that the complaint would be considered incomplete. So item one would be VT personnel first and last name. The second one would be only contains physical descriptive information of VD personnel and no other identifiable information like badge number or precinct. With that second point, understood there, but I think, you know, there should be additional identifiers here so that it's clear for the public. Sometimes there may be video. I think if you have video and the officer could be made out, that should be sufficient and it shouldn't be considered an incomplete complaint. You have a license plate number, photos of the officer, voice recordings, name of officers present, other officers. Maybe you don't know this, but you have the complaint against one officer, but you were able to catch the name or the badge number of another, and other identifying information. I just don't think it should be very limited if we're saying badge number and precinct. I think especially when people are encountering law enforcement and if they're really stressed out or it's kind of a fluid situation, it may be difficult for people to say, give me your badge numbers, precinct number.
If you have their license plate number and the time of day, it's easy to identify who was in that car.
Yeah, and also thinking of like, you know, some of the most compelling evidence, you know, that comes forward could be video and photos, voice recordings where they say their name or.
And we want to reduce the stress and the pressure on the complainant to be able to identify who they're complaining against.
Yes.
Yeah, just so this probably could have been written a little better on my part. Honestly, our investigators are very skilled at this point. They can identify officers based on a video and making the request that they need to. So I assure you, no stone is going unturned. It's probably the emphasis here is more on specific date, time, and location. So this is in reference to just our 2 years of experience now of receiving complaints. Oftentimes you will get someone who will just say, hey, I'm having a problem with the police. And they won't really get into the specifics of the complaint. And obviously without an allegation that we can match to a rule of procedure that may have been violated, we have really nothing to go off of. So the emphasis is more on that, not so much the lack of badge number or name.
Yeah, I just want to make sure for the record,
For sure.
like that these are items, you know, as we're considering the regulations, that these are things that are considered responsive to that. I know it's like an et cetera, so there could be a lot of different things, but I just wanted to make sure that it was more like one, an illustrative list rather than an exhaustive one, but like providing other forms in which folks can be identified. I thought that was important. The other pieces, you know, description or summary of an incident appears to be incomplete or missing necessary details or information. I think that, you know, it feels subjective, and I just want to, like, I want to make sure that, you know, again, in the interest of making sure that the complainant isn't having to go through more hurdles. And I think this is really important with respect to, you know, getting and approving these regulations. As we know, there's a lot of different, there's a lot of movement at the moment. And so we just want to make sure when these things are put in place that no matter who comes, no matter, you know, in 5 years or what have you, different administrations, different priorities, different kind of constructs that, you know, that we're setting it up for success and not for any kind of loopholes or things of that nature. So I'm curious, Commissioner Harris, on if you have any thoughts, like on the description or summary incident appears to be incomplete or missing necessary information as one of the things. It feels subjective, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of ways to narrow it for the record, but I just wanted to state, like, there may be, I don't know if there's like OPAT, you know, based on there, I need an objective qualifier there. That's just.
So one of my concerns is the time frame. You know, 7 days. Is there anything that prohibits a person from refiling a complaint once they get more information?
No, and that's the thing too, so, the reason why I don't think that 7 days limits it, because essentially this is just for record keeping purposes, because we don't wanna go 3 months and have dozens of these things that we've never heard from people on, that we just don't do anything with, so we prefer to close if we haven't heard. We can certainly reopen it as soon as they come back, if it's not a case where we just say, yep, you're out of luck.
Is that any place in the written directions or whatever we call them, the regulations, that they can reopen it once they gather additional information?
Internally, in our manual, we have that, but we can certainly add that if it makes you.
It makes me feel better, because I
Absolutely.
want the public to know
Yep.
that if they are unable to get information, that once they get that information, they can come back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and so curious when we have the fails to include specific location information of incidents. One thing there, I think video and, you know, things like that too. Like, I think the complainant would make a complaint, they may know, like, kind of, generally, I was in Roxbury, I was on this street. They may not, you know, I also think about folks that aren't necessarily from the city itself, or maybe they're like passing through and they make a complaint. They may not be as familiar, but they could say I was on this street, or I was in this neighborhood, I was by this place. You know, fails to include specific location, that feels too specific, like, you know, maybe given, again, like an illustrative list, like street name, you know, when, what is it called when someone has like something that everyone
Specific
knows?
location.
Yeah,
things
like, by
that-
the McDonald's, in this area, yeah, like general location, area, what is that called? Landmarks, yeah, like landmarks, exactly, great. You know, like, just giving, I just wanna make sure, right, these adopted and just for our staff internally to know, like, specific location can mean a landmark, an area, general vicinity, especially if there's video that can be patched together, especially if it's outside, like, someone could be able to determine what street, what area this is taking place. So wanted to just make sure that that is kind of fleshed out. I know, obviously, it's not, I know right now the team we have obviously is really good at investigating and making sure they follow up when they need to. But I think, you know, building the infrastructure for the office and the regs and kind of what should be
No matter
done.
who's here.
Yeah, no matter who's here at any given time, they'll be able to follow it, and that, you know, whoever is appointed and takes over these roles at some point, right? And takes over OPAT, will be subject to, you know, what's agreed upon here.
Is there anything in the regulations that say that the police must preserve video if they have it?
Not in our regulations, no, and not in the first round of proposed ones here. We make those requests, so just full disclosure, we make those requests to preserve, and we never run into an issue to this point. But obviously, it probably makes sense to put something in writing.
So on 1.04, one thing I wanted to just point out about the meetings, just want to make sure, so the members of the Internal Affairs Panel or the CRB unable to fulfill their roles due to a conflict of interest, said matter shall be referred to OPAT Commission for review and recommendation. Said recommendations shall be reviewed, and any recommendation shall be forwarded and pursuant to the authority under the ordinance. So we have this, you know, pursuant to 12-16-4C shall be members of the IOP and CRB or CRB fail to achieve quorum for consecutive 3 meetings. I think that should be decreased to 2. I think 3 meetings gets you almost to an entirely, you know, you could be almost a year away.
Yeah.
If there's 2 meetings with no quorum, then this commission needs to just be able to resolve cases and do the work that needs to be done. If quorum isn't reached, there's so many different dynamics and factors as well. Like the city council has to approve and set forth candidates, the mayor has to appoint. And so, you know, thinking about different like the panel and the board, if we're short members that they're not even appointed, and then one person not being able to make it, or two people not being able to make it means there's no quorum at all. It's kind of outside of the purview of control. Again, thinking about things that will make more efficiencies as we go forward, but also, wouldn't be subject to the whims of like, someone stonewalling or not putting forth candidates to be appointed or not
We're
appointing
supposed to have
people.
5 on the IR.
Yeah,
There's only 3.
Yeah.
So one person, for whatever reason, can't be there.
yeah, that this body needs to be able to move quickly, and I think the public would expect that to be the case. So if we have, 2 quarterly meetings from the Civilian Review Board or IOP, that, that's a 6-month span. By that shortly thereafter, for the next meeting, that for the commission, there should be able, and especially the commission meetings can be called, like fairly easily. And so it could be right after that second meeting, you can have a commission meeting. And in that case, we typically have the commission meeting right after at least CRB. So if CRB can't come to, can't come to a quorum after that second meeting, within 2 days or within a week, you'd be able to, going to get this body together. There's only 3 of us, and we can be able to make decisions. So I think that's a much better accommodation than just kind of holding.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. Please. That's important that we let the public see that we're moving and not just standing still because of our own problem.
Yeah, because I think quorum itself is a very lack of quorum. It was very heartened that the Civilian Review Board had quorum in its meeting last week. The lack of quorum is really unfortunate, and I mean, I would board on saying upsetting. I've shown public upsetness when it's happened, because I think we do need to move and process things, and it's important work that needs to get done for all parties involved. So we want to make sure we move through these things more expeditiously, especially as we will be shorthanded both until appointments are made.
Yep.
So the actual adoption, are these going to be, it's going to be subject to public comment for then further. So the OPAT Commission received those regulations, and per MGL Chapter 30A, the commission will hold an open public comment period from today, December 21st, until October 26th, which means you can email OPAT boards at boston.gov. Members of the public are now welcome to submit any comments, ideas, and information about proposed amendments to the draft regulations until October 26th at 5 p.m. Public hearing will be held on Thursday, October 26th, to receive any comments, ideas, and information about the proposed amendments to the regulations governing the Office of Police Accountability and Transparency. A hearing notice will be filed with more information following the commission meeting today. Other business. So the OPAT Commission will meet in person at the OPAT office on Thursday, December 14th. Like to discuss the commission with as to what time the meeting will convene. So
we have a meeting on October 26th. Is that?
So this one is for the December 14th meeting that we're doing.
That meeting.
Did you have the October 16th? What?
It's October 26th.
Yeah, October 26th.
It would be October 26th. The time is most likely going to be 11 to 1, and it will be fully virtual.
Okay.
Just sure that's fine. And then December 14th would be in person here. Let me just make sure. And is there a proposed time, or are we coming up with the time right now? So December 14th, I am available in the earlier part of the day before 3 o'clock,
Already have it in for two.
2 o'clock. I think,
But we can change it on.
yeah, I mean, I think 2 to 4. I think ideally 1 to 3 would be preferable on my end.
Okay, got it.
All right, thank you, Judge. I'll add that to the calendar as well. All right, thank you all very much. Does our other commissioner have any other business they'd like to introduce or address today?
No,
I just, here, the only other business I'd like to address is see if there's been any movement on, one, the appointments, and two, kind of any movements on OPAT and kind of, expected time in which a new executive director will be appointed and kind of knowledge with respect to that, and also new civilian review board members and panel members. When could it be expected that city council and the mayor will appoint, will put forward candidates and appointments?
Yeah, so, shared with the mayor's office that, that you, the CRB chair, had requested a response on those, appointments. Haven't gotten that yet. We shared that with them on Monday, so I would hope to hear by the end of the week, if not early next week. We haven't, but I'll communicate that to you when it comes. On the director's appointment, still sounds like end of October they're aiming for. I'll have a little bit more information to share in exec session on the role the board will play in that process, but yeah, still looking like probably end of October for an appointment for the executive director.
Anything further, Judge?
no, it's just that I think it's important that we fill these positions, not the executive director. I know that's on the drag on, but the others, there were people who had applied before that they could look at, and we just need to get those empty seats. I know we need our 2 additional members.
Yeah, you can't be in a place where 100% of the people that are currently on the board have to be
Sure.
there. Things happen and also thinking in terms of process points, like city council, I just feel like there's more process involved, and that really needs to be, it's a little surprising that it's not something that just happened by now. Given that there's been vacancies and the need. So whatever kind of, that there needs to be, I'd like to hear from the mayor's office and, an update there, let me know. Because I kind of, I think it also comes, city council has to put forward candidates as well, so that needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we gave them a full update on both the ones that are currently vacant as well as the ones that are gonna be expiring in January, so. Hopefully we can not only get those immediate appointments done, but also be proactive and have some ready to go for January.
Can you share that with me? The ones, those who are coming off and those who left.
Certainly,
So
yeah,
I won't be recommending.
yeah, Ben, do you mind doing that?
Thank you.
Yeah, so if there's no other business, we can move on to public comment period. So there are a few ways to submit public comment at today's meeting. First, you can come forward to the OPAT staff table to submit your comment. It's where we hear your comment properly and ensure that the staff have an accurate record. And second, you can submit your comments through email to opatboards@boston.gov. Emails received during the meeting will be read into the record. Emails received after the meeting has ended, but before 12 p.m. on Thursday, October 5th, will be included in the draft minutes. Emails received after 12 p.m. on Thursday, October 5th, will be read into the record at the next OPAT Commission meeting, included in the minutes for that meeting. Please keep your comments brief so that all participants can have a chance to speak, and identify yourself for the clerk before making your public comment. So if anyone has any public comment based on any of the information received today, feel free to rise and make such comment.
Don't know where to begin.
Well, please stand and identify yourself. That'll give us a beginning.
You're welcome to 1232 if you want to get your area.
Yeah, my name's James Burlow. I live in Quincy now. I was born in Boston, late fifties, lived in the city my entire life up until 10 years ago. When I had to move at my family's behest, my safety. Been going on over a 10-year campaign, harassment, intimidation by the Boston police. I gotta say, you know, that Boston police is institutionally corrupt. You know, I understand big city police department, two bad apples to get to the floorboards, you have to be even a killer rapist, so on. That's not the issue. It's like a political cadre of the police department. It's really the problem, that act out personal vendettas. You know, and he's been a victim of it himself.
You have specifics of who,
Yeah, I got a lot, been to internal affairs 4 times, they do nothing about it. I've had cops visiting, Boston cops broad daylight at my house in Quincy. 3 times try to ambush me, it's on video.
Have you submitted a complaint to CRV, and has it been?
But yeah, it's just so convoluted and expensive, and no, to tell you the truth, nobody trusts us. The public believes this is just a fig leaf to cover from internal affairs. Make it seem like there's a semblance of recourse.
I think in responding to that, one thing to just consider and think about, the amount of data that's been aggregated and collected, number one, and it's being shared publicly in terms of stops and everything.
Right.
Data is power. And so the ability for the public to be able, and media and everyone can see the data that's been collected, that's a pretty important aspect, sunshine. The fact that there have been some sustained findings, and they're also, you know, forcing the commissioner to have to respond to that. The public is then more aware, I think, in, you know, and saying it could be a fig leaf or what have you. Before, these things just happened in a vacuum and no one knew anything before.
Right.
So there could be no, you know, we can do what we can here, and OPAT can do that as well. But, you know, the fact that members of the public have a different institution to submit a complaint to that isn't the institution that they're complaining about itself, I think it's a really big development generally. Someone's looking into what they did, and also collecting data and information, and being able to have that person have a very neutral arbiters, kind of hear them out and hear what their complaint is and bring it up to, you know, in the case of the Civilian Review Board, a board that's filled with citizens of the city of Boston that are going to be able to look at it and look at the rules that are established and a discipline matrix for the Boston police, and make sure that, you know, that even just sunshine is really important. Being able to say, as members of the public, we think that this, even in, there are times even where it's a not sustained finding, you can still give recommendations, cameras need to be on, and we've seen this pattern or that pattern. You should, the BPD consider these types of things, even when, again, even if it's not sustained, it's providing an avenue based on cases that are coming through. And there are people now like making complaints who are able to hear 10, 15, and I think, you know, complaints and process them. I think it makes a big difference. If just the difference is sunlight, if just the difference is in when there's a sustained finding, people know. If just the difference is that there's a different additional data collection, I think, you know, that's just my response there, to make sure, you know, the public knows that before this was in a vacuum, and you have members of the public needed to go into a police department to make a complaint about the police department, which in itself could make folks not do it. And here we're able to give them a neutral arbiter of their case so that they can kind of speak freely, talk about what's taking place, get interviewed, get information. The team here has been really good at getting information from, 911 calls and video and pictures, looking at going to, neighborhoods to see if there were cameras outside, and getting public input. It's just a very different dynamic, and I just want to make sure that the work of the people in this office is also acknowledged. They do a pretty thorough job of looking into the cases and bringing forth evidence and trying to get physical evidence as well, which is always pretty powerful and compelling. Getting video, getting audio, getting pictures. Again, the status quo previously was, no one knew except for the person who made the complaint at whatever point, the internal affairs through their own avenues internally, whatever they did, like they would let them know at their own pace, and having a neutral voice for people to be heard is something that, if that's all it is, I think it should be more, but if that's all it is a big improvement of the status quo anyway.
And I like that if we don't get the complaint, we can't do anything about it. And so I want to encourage you to file it so that we can respond to it.
Yeah, see, we've been coming here since we learned about it, and it's just really to investigate, what this agency's about. And we just feel it's beyond your capabilities.
It might be.
We think that you're all like legitimate, decent people, earnest. And I've looked at the years worth of cases, and overwhelmingly it seemed like a couple of people are looking to initiate a page ace of the city. Others clearly cop haters, and others to diminish the charges, and they were pretty, not really serious. And then people say, well, they won't take the serious cases, you never hear about it. They're always gonna have, the police department. This police department has a real history. Like I said, I know I grew up in the worst neighborhoods, through the 70s, and I've seen everything. My mother was shot at by this bartender near the old Boston Garden by an off-duty cop. Men in trench coats show up. Really, this man has a drinking problem. That was, the extent of that. Later on, he was retired early. He raped a woman at knife point. You know what I mean? But these are bad individuals. I'm saying the department itself. And it really changed. Everybody says Kevin White was the worst mayor. I mean, it was a terrible mayor. But it was a dying city then. Some of these did was funny. I'm telling you, when Menino came in, I remember Boston cop Raymond Jackman, the area agent took one because he knew the security contingent. So this man's a criminal thug. And he was. In fact, that's why we're relentlessly after us. Beginning in 2008 and 2010, the FBI was investigating our union, Boston Fire Union. He was a target. And I know it because I was contacted by that agent twice. They had come in, didn't tell me what it was about. The agent's name was Adrian Carrier. It was abruptly ended. When that ended, they went on a rampage going up to everybody they suspected of cooperating. And to this day, 3 weeks ago, another incident happened with Boston police, a minor one, but just to let me know, it's still out there. Things aren't as bad now that Menino is gone and Walsh is gone. People are suspicious because this agency was originated from the previous administration, so people have their doubts there,
But I will say it was originated the ordinance is from the body of the city council. So the city council itself and all of the different divergent folks on the city council had a lot of say in creating it.
Yeah, I can tell you the biggest scumbag, so it's in City Hall, it's a law department, like Robert J. Boyle. Lawyers quit over their careers over stuff with me. One, Amy Braxton, she worked for the transit authority now. The other, Sharon Phillips, she's a city of Melrose solicitor now. And half dozen others, I think, either lost their jobs because they would go along with this shit.
Well, just want to make sure in terms of names and stuff, folks can't speak on their own and themselves.
But there's
especially
other
personnel.
tangential victims like him and two others. One kid's dead that came on because they harassed him so bad. They told me twice, so I try to protect them from the abuses that happened during that era.
Yeah, but
I mean, the things they did to them was unbelievable, and that would never happen to Boston Fire. I can tell you, he's on before me, it was nothing like that. nothing like that, but you got these political attacks. They give special jobs, get away with murder, even been terminated and rehired. You know, they ran amok.
Yeah,
They
and that's
use every
why,
privilege, and this man here, firefighter for the fire departments, you know, excuse me, fire inspection bureau, specialist inspector, special hazards, good reputation, somebody wanted his job. What the police did to him was unbelievable. And his career,
Yeah,
he's homeless now. Well, this has been over, 20 years,
13 years.
15 years.
So if he, Tony would like.
It's a
to
kind of
speak.
retaliation.
Yeah, so if he'd like to speak for himself, I just wanna maintain a few things, like if possible, and I don't, you know.
I
folks are talking.
wanted, but I still have severe trust issues with the city.
of course,
Having one city employee,
all I want you to do is file the complaint so that we can investigate.
Yeah, I think that's the most, I mean, I
I don't
think,
wanna get you in a jam where we figure
I'm not
beyond
worried
your
about a
ability.
jam. We are not, if we were worried about a jam, we wouldn't have taken these positions.
yeah, and you're here, I mean, I would just say for the record, you all are here, you're here, you're also dropping names, which I think, you know, if you would just do that in a complaint, it'd be, you know,
Gives us something
yeah,
to look at.
gives something for folks to look at, and, you know, I think that would be more important to do.
Like this past December, contact internal affairs, seeking the last time.
But we're not internal
Yeah, I
affairs,
know that,
but that's why we're outside of the police. department.
right?
So make your complaint, I think, you know, to the extent when, if you could, this language base, I know folks have ways of talking, and even if quoting something, I
Right.
just, I personally am not a person that curses a lot, and I just think for public records, like, even if repeating a racial epithet or what have you, I would love for that to actually be in a complaint, so that that can be investigated. If a police officer actually said that, and that could be investigated.
Not a police officer, fire official.
Oh,
Fire
okay.
official.
Well, that's outside of our
Yeah,
scope.
we don't-
No, I know that. that's
But
what
if
I'm
you're
saying,
being
it's-
harassed by the police department on behalf of,
Right,
then that's something that we can look at.
Yeah,
But
You
you
have to
can't
make
do
a
it unless you
complaint.
file a complaint.
and it's amazing how like these crops network with other and Metro Boston, Quincy, Milton. Through my sisters, I try to keep, unbeknownst to me, they did unbelievable research about documents on what these people were. And I didn't even know at the time, you know, both mothers of teenage daughters, one's an OR nurse, you know, the other's a surgeon's assistant. Being terrorized by the Milton Police, Boston Police, Suffolk DA, Julie Temple Higgins, Assistant ADA, she was involved in behind it. And,
You gotta put it in writing for us
yeah,
to look at.
and this cop in charge of recruits now for stalking my sister in Quincy.
yeah, and it has to be,
He started all, has his personal information, he's a Boston firefighter.
one thing, just.
There's nothing you can do.
The scope here is just Boston Police Department and officials and folks within the Boston Police Department and personnel. So to the extent you have any complaints with respect to the Boston Police Department, with alleging specific facts, location, names of folks, that would be like, make the complaint so that it could be investigated by this body, and then we could go forward from there, but I think, you know, it's difficult, we can't address like the exact circumstances of what you're saying,
Right.
because the team here has not done an investigation or presented it to either body in order for anyone to make any kind of, like, any determination, right, like that, you've spoken, you've given your comments, much appreciated. I'd like to see complaints so that, you know, they can get to work
Yeah.
investigating those types of things. But yeah, no, I appreciate the public comment here though.
Yeah, I mean, the current commissioner, he's aware of it, he grew up with him. He knows the basic detail, he knows the stories, like the two cops that ambushed me December 16, 2010. They're both since been arrested for their other crimes. Cause that's what we used to have, these other goon squad cops, in lieu of punishment, even termination, for criminal stuff. They were protected, they did the jury deeds, I don't let down to they refer them to the feds, so they can't say, hey, they told me to do, you know what I mean? That's how they nail both of them, just kind of, this patrol officer. It's, you know, it's,
Please file the complaint.
yeah, I mean, cause the mayor knows about it, I sent her a letter with the cross through the history of things. She's the kind of whistle past the graveyard like she never heard about it, you know what I mean?
But it's
Plus,
not-
it's pretty troubling, her and the police, you know, the enemies list there. They did legal inquiries to the criminal system district board like they did to me. 10 days, I should have had that information. The lady told me Suffolk DA, Boston Police, give you the names in the week. Your staff attorney over investigating. Well, they've been investigating for 10 years now. You know, that's what you run into.
Make a complaint. I think in order to, you know, in order to really even be responsive to anything, we would need a complaint to go through the process of the civilian review board. And come through OPAT and be investigated and, you know, in terms of the veracity or any of these things, I just want to, for the record, say a lot of names were mentioned.
Yeah.
It prejudices those folks both in either end, like, cause some people, it feels like you're defending them and you're saying their names, and then other folks, you're putting their name out there. Just for the record, no one in any of that, like you know, in either case, no one's here to speak on that part.
Right.
And that's one of the parts of the process in terms of.
And we're both lawyers, so we have to be very careful with this type. We can't let you talk about people who are not here to defend themselves
Right.
and without filing a complaint so that we can investigate impartial.
Mhm.
And that's all we're asking.
And also for the other folks that it seems like you're also defending, like we're speaking on their behalf, like having their names out there, I just.
When I can't.
Something you need to, yeah, but like in a complaint, that would be ideal, so,
So I'm going to ask that we stop this at this point.
yeah, is there another? We
There's something
appreciate-
to evidence. You can write it down, go to the World Wide Web on YouTube. I think I mentioned too, like a Boston Club to retaliate. This lawyer, journalist, he's an advocate. He made a video for my home security. Look at the condition of my house. I was saying, what is it, for 6 years? That's what me. I couldn't live in the house that I own. It was unbelievable.
File it and.
File it and give
So
the
we can
video. and we can
investigate,
look at it.
please.
Look it up. The city lawyers had to remove.
We
one
can look
time.
it up.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't like how he narrated it. I didn't want it, but
Yeah.
that's his.
We can't
Make a
look it up
complaint.
unless it's a complaint.
yeah,
Uh,
file a
They're
complaint,
not doing.
yeah, file a complaint, that's the best thing to tell you, and we appreciate the public comment, because it's been a little.
If I do, I mean, is it gonna cause problems to people?
We're not
No,
worried about.
don't worry about any problems on this end. You submit the complaint, they investigate it. If it rises to the level of something that the civilian review board needs to consider, it gets brought to our attention and we take a look at it and we make a determination, and you'll be kept apprised of that determination, when it comes. So I think do what you feel needs to be done, but I think, you know, file a complaint, and I think from, you know, submit any evidence that you have, and I think we'll go from there. But I think, yeah, appreciate the comment here and want to make sure that if anyone else has public comment, that they could give it, and also see if anyone has submitted anything via email that would be read into the record during this period.
So Tony, do you wish to say anything?
I'm still trying to grasp how you guys are operating, you know, as far as the complaint goes, I don't see how. Where it being in the past, I can be made whole, I mean, the mayor could do that.
Well, there's
For
also,
me, it would just be a matter of having my story out. You know, as far as the complaint, you know, all the officers involved are retired now.
but people need to know. So
Make your complaint, and, you know, there's an ability to investigate it. And you have specific facts and details, and it could be investigated in itself. At least there could be some kind of record of it being investigated. You can have someone look into it. In terms of retirements, I think that there may be a wrinkle there.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is the way our offices set up in the ordinance is that we can make recommendations up to termination of officers. So obviously if someone's already retired, then, you know, that's sort of null and void, but
Yeah,
but
like,
sometimes it's just getting it on the record.
like one of them, this was sent out of headquarters, when the mayor came and he really did his papers and.
Yeah, so, but I mean, I think still making the complaint, because if there's something and it's investigated and the veracity's there and it seems legit, even if something, you know, there's not. In terms of punishment, there's probably nothing that can be done, but if it's found,
The other problem with our situation is that there's a commingling of the pot. You know,
Yes, but let us worry about that
It's really
part.
hard to explain it and not include them both because they're part of the whole.
Well, whatever the Boston Police Department part of it, right, you can put whatever details, I mean, yeah, you're just setting up the stage of who are the parties involved, as long as one of those parties is members of the Boston Police Department or personnel, or, you know, just make it, I think the mission here is to, you know, if you'd like to make a complaint, make it. And if you want neutral arbiters to investigate it, they'll do so. And if it rises to the level to be presented to the civilian review board for determinations, you know, thereafter, then, you know, that will happen. But I think it's important to make the complaint first as a first step. Understanding that it appears that you're trying to understand the dynamics and how everything works. Everything works just for a general matter. OPAT is an office that's independent. It's part of the city of Boston, but it's independent from the Boston Police Department. Has to have a collaborative relationship in order to get, you know, documents, evidence, files and information. But, you know, runs its own investigation, interviewing folks, and talking to the folks that are making the complaints. So I think just so you know, if you want a body looking at.
Is that relationship a casual relationship or is it a legal relationship? Are you subpoenaing these documents or are you asking them?
I think we have, the commission has the power
We
to
can subpoena.
subpoena documents, but because it's been collaborative, I mean, I don't think BPD will want to be like, if this is information we have, a lot of it can be, you know, like asked for members of the public anyway. There's not really a reason that, you know, I mean, to force us to have to subpoena them, it almost makes it rise to a higher level. So.
See, for me, there's another situation. I've known Mike since he was 10 years old. In fact, we're indirectly related. A family member of his is a family member of mine. And I don't want these to look like he's doing something for a family member.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really different.
You just call, you can have a complaint, they will, you know, the team here they will take your statement, follow up with you. I think that's probably the main kind of takeaway. If you feel like there's an issue with a Boston Police Department member, personnel, department generally, make your complaint and, you know, you'll have an independent body taking a look at it, investigating it. Again, if it rises to the level to come to the civilian review board, it will.
And that's like you said, the problem is the origins of individuals in the city of Hall, you know, serious miscreant, but the police right and there's a is, you know, their age and it's not, it didn't originate with the.
Again, all we can do is respond to complaints that come in.
Right.
And we encourage you to file the complaints. And then we can go forward.
Yeah, I appreciate the public comment though,
Yeah.
and appreciate your presence. I'm heartened to
Very
see
important.
people that, you know, take the time to come here and, you know, speak and give commentary. So that is appreciated.
I have nothing else to do. I don't have a life anymore.
We will, like, again, encourage you to
They're just not gonna leave me alone, clearly.
make a complaint.
At this point,
We'll
Mr.
move forward.
Chairperson.
Yep. So, you know, our next order of business of the meeting, we're gonna close, are there any comments via email that come in?
The only comments that we have received have been, 2 different requests for, a virtual option for the meeting.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
so I move that we, move to go into executive session.
I second that motion. And so this executive session is being called in accordance with the following: MGL's Chapter 30A, Section 21A7, combined with MGL Chapter 30A, Sections 22F and G, in anticipation of discussion and approval of the minutes of the prior executive sessions. The OPAT Commission will discuss and review the minutes of the OPAT Commission's executive session on March 16, 2023. The OPAT Commission will close its public session of the meeting now and will not reconvene in another public session to vote. Is there a motion to close the public session of this meeting?
So moved.
So moved, seconded, and we'll now hold a roll call vote to enter into the executive session and close the public session. Roll call vote for the executive session, Commissioner Leslie Harris,
Yes.
Peter Alvarez, yes. And we've voted both commissioners present to enter into the executive session. So thank you all for attending the public meeting. The OPAT Commission is scheduled for the next one is December 14th, 2023. We'll commence just making sure OPAT agreed with the time, the team here for the 1 to 3 period. So 1 to 3 o'clock, December 14th, 2023. OPAT staff will now close the dividers in the conference room and turn on sound machines. And the public session is over at 2:59 p.m.